Think of it this way: your upper arm is a truck, your forearm is a van, your wrist is a sedan, and your fingers are a sports car. So if I want to be fast, this is the top speed of my upper arm. Now the forearm, the wrist, and the fingers. Today, we're going to break down friction. For amateur players, generating friction is even more important than pure impact. You can lack power, but you absolutely cannot lack friction. It's arguably the most critical part of your game. Let's break down why amateurs struggle with friction and focus on why you can't properly bite or grip the ball. When you make contact on the lower half of your paddle and swing up, the ball often just drops off, right? If your arm follow-through is just a bit too slow, the ball will go straight into the net. This is the first problem. Second, let's say I'm making a friction motion. Against a no-spin or light backspin ball, I can lift it with friction. But what about a heavy spin ball? Let's try that. Why did it hit the net? Because my motion was at a constant speed, the friction speed was insufficient. Third, watch this. Am I making a friction motion? I did accelerate, didn't I? So why couldn't I bite the ball? Today, we're going to focus on these three key issues. First, why you hit the bottom half of the racket, and second, how to increase your friction speed. The first reason you always contact the ball on the lower part of your racket is that your center of gravity is too high. With a high center of gravity, when you lower your hand, the ball will naturally land on the lower half of your paddle. Even if you feel your hand is low, the ball is here and the paddle is here. To get any lower, you'd have to bring your racket too close to your body, leading to an improper backswing. The second reason is having a cocked-up wrist. Anyone who plays with a cocked-up wrist is doomed to make contact on the lower half of the racket. This is true even for a basic forehand drive, not just a loop. Let me demonstrate. You'll see the contact is almost always on the lower part of the paddle. See? The contact marks are all on the bottom here. Now let's try looping a backspin ball with a cocked wrist. The ball goes straight down. You really can't lift it with a cocked wrist. You just can't lift it. Look, all the ball marks are down here in this area. If you cock your wrist, you are guaranteed to hit the lower half of the paddle. It's not that looping from the bottom half is impossible, but amateur players lack the professional's explosive drive, power, and acceleration needed to generate spin and speed from that position. This is the second point, all because of that cocked wrist. What's the third reason? Your paddle is low enough, but you rush your timing. I'll show you again. My paddle is down, but I'm rushing the contact point. Look, the contact is still on the lower half. So you rush into the ball, whereas you should be waiting for it, then looping. Look at the contact point when I wait. It's here, upper half. These two marks were from rushing the shot. This one was from waiting for the ball. Do you see your mistake? Why do I tell you to wait? To achieve joint force or perfect timing with the ball. Think of your racket. The edges are like a value of 200, while the center sweet spot is worth 2,000. You're constantly hitting the ball with the ineffective, 200 value parts of the racket. For amateur players to find a stable and powerful contact point, professionals can hit at any point. We wait for the ball to drop. As the ball follows its downward arc, you begin your swing, using the ball's downward momentum. Then, use the upper half of your paddle to drive through the ball to generate power. This creates joint force. If the ball is dropping and you use your paddle's lower half, any amount of spin from your opponent will send it straight into the net because you can't generate enough friction. Against topspin, you can hit anywhere. But against backspin, amateurs must use this method. Rushing the shot is a mistake. But by waiting for this point, you can execute a powerful loop, right? Why can you power loop? Because look, I wait for the ball, and bang. I've perfectly combined my force with the ball's energy. How did I achieve this joint force? By making contact on the upper half of the paddle. I use the upper half to meet the ball as it drops, and with a quick follow-through and friction, I accelerate the ball off the racket. Our forces have combined. But many amateurs get anxious and rush the shot. A proper loop form means that as you swing to contact the ball, your paddle head remains naturally relaxed. Only then can I use the upper part of my paddle to meet the ball. The more relaxed you are at contact, before you grip tightly, the better you can grip the ball and generate power. A common mistake is that your wrist is in a natural position during the backswing, but by the moment of contact, it starts to lift up. This inevitably means you will always contact the ball on the lower half of the paddle, resulting in a push, not a loop. So, when looping, you must get your body down and relax your hand. Lower your center of gravity and relax your hand. If you master these two things, you'll improve significantly. That's my first point. Second point, you say, I applied friction, but while I can lift a no-spin ball, I can't lift a spin ball. This is an extremely common problem, and the main reason is that your friction is applied at a constant, uniform speed. What does uniform speed mean? It means at the moment of contact, your hand isn't generating the power. Your power is coming from your shoulder and upper arm, not from your fingers. In my opinion, at the moment of contact, your hand must engage first, and then your arm follows. Let me demonstrate. Initiate with your hand, then follow through with your arm. This is my secret. Let your hand engage first, not your shoulder. If your shoulder engages first, it's very difficult to grip the ball with friction at the moment of contact. You'll just end up hitting through it. So, start by holding the racket with about 30% grip strength. As you contact the ball, let the parts below your forearm, your wrist and fingers, engage first. This initial action is to counteract the spin and ensure the ball gets over the net. Getting the ball on the table is the priority. Once you've secured the ball on the paddle, then you can swing through with your arm. Coordinate with your body, but don't use your arm as the initial power source. Your hand and wrist should be the focus. The initial contact should be about gripping and lifting the ball. Because if your arm engages first, your fingers and wrist can't do their job. They can't capture that feeling of friction. Even if the follow-through has less power, it's fine. First, practice just this initial contact, using your fingers and wrist to grip the ball. So how do you fix this? Every time you face a backspin ball, focus on initiating the power with your fingers and wrist. Keep your arm relaxed and loose. After gripping the ball, quickly complete the motion and release your arm's power. Release as much as you can. If you can't generate much power, that's okay. Focus on the friction. At the very least, you'll get the ball on the table. This method is far more beneficial and practical for amateur players. In a real match, you have to move your feet, the pace is faster, and you might face tricky styles like long pips or short pips. You have to loop this way, otherwise you won't get the ball on the table. In training, you can look like a pro. In a match, you revert to basics. And looping this way is something you can master quickly, regardless of skill level or age. It works for everyone. The second key point is about concentrating your force. Think of it this way: your upper arm is a truck, your forearm is a van, your wrist is a sedan, and your fingers are a sports car. So if I want to be fast, this is the top speed of my upper arm. Now the forearm, the wrist, and the fingers. Obviously, the fingers are the fastest, right? So, what is the key to generating friction? The fingers. And what is the key to generating power? The arm. It's not that your fingers generate all the power, the shot would be weak. Their job is to counteract the opponent's spin. After that, the power comes from your arm and your hips. The roles are distinct. You have to know what your fingers are for. Just using your body to lift the ball is too slow and unfocused to create proper friction. The friction must come from the part that can move the fastest. And that is your fingers. Try looping using just your fingers, not your whole wrist. I'll loop one using my wrist. See? Almost no spin. Now I'll use my fingers with the same motion. This applies to everything, including serves. A wrist-only motion won't be very spinny. A finger-focused motion will be. I think the reason amateurs don't generate as much spin is because you think friction requires a huge motion. You think adding forearm or wrist action will be more powerful than just using fingers, or you simply can't feel it. In reality, the most intense friction comes with almost no upper arm, forearm, or wrist movement. It's all in the fingers, generated with a quick snap. A lot of players focus too much on their overall form or frame. It looks good, but the substance, the meat inside the frame, is missing. That's why a good frame works for a forehand drive. But a good frame doesn't guarantee a successful loop. Because now you're dealing with spin. It's not a flat ball anymore. So you start to make errors. Don't use your forearm or wrist to create friction. Use your fingers to create the friction. Try it. The rotational speed of the paddle generated by your fingers is the fastest. When that initial contact is fast, you create spin. From there, the fingers lead the wrist, and the wrist leads the forearm. This makes the friction much deeper. It's like passing a relay baton. The fingers are the first leg, the arm is the second, the body is the third, and you accelerate to win the race. You must avoid focusing only on the big overall frame while neglecting that crucial friction at contact. This will make your loop extremely inconsistent. If you think you should lead with the big muscles first, go ahead and try. But remember, professionals can do that. You are an amateur. Please be realistic about your status, your age, and your physical condition. Professionals practice thousands of balls a day. Watch me loop without my hand or wrist. I can still do it because of my foundation. You think it's that easy? Can you get low? Use your hips? Find the right position? Is your footwork, your timing, your rhythm, your spacing, your friction all perfect? Is your follow-through fast enough? Your acceleration? Are you meeting the ball out in front with perfect timing? Can you really do all that? Don't even dream of being able to do it all. To do that, you'd need a professional coach and practice 2 to 8 hours a day for at least 3 years to pull it off in a match. That's real skill. It's absolutely not for amateurs. If you prefer that type of professional level instruction, then my videos may not be for you, because my teaching is focused on the reality of amateur players. I want to find what actually works for you. You will only trust me when you see your game improve. A friend of mine was taught the newest wrap and whip technique by a pro and ended up injuring his shoulder, requiring acupuncture. He told me it just doesn't work. You'll eventually discover that those fancy techniques are all style and no substance. For amateurs, in critical moments, what matters is a quality serve, an attack that lands on the table, and a service return that lands on the table. If I can get one more ball back than you, I win. Diving counter loops, explosive backhand whips, powerful banana flicks. These are all things you see on TV. In a real match, you'd be happy to win a point just by pushing. Winning is all that matters. You have to be practical. I believe you should make friction your top priority. To concentrate this friction, I suggest that when you practice, you must add a burst of acceleration with your fingers and wrist every time. Use your fingers to lead the motion. You should feel that the area under your index finger has no gaps against the paddle. Don't leave any space like this. You must press it down firmly. My feeling is, when I press my index finger on the blade, My power becomes very solid. I always do this when looping, and it gives me the feeling of having properly gripped the ball. The third point is the puzzle I mentioned earlier. Why are you hitting the net? You are applying a friction motion, but your actual contact is from back to front. Do any of you practice with this kind of forward-hitting motion? This is the third scenario. It looks like you're making a bottom-to-top motion, but in reality, at the moment of contact, your backswing is done, and you're hitting the ball here, generating power forward before following through. What this is equivalent to is hitting the ball from back to front at the moment of contact. It looks like your arm is down, but you're contacting the ball here, generating power here, and your hand only ends up in the follow-through position after the fact. The reason is that you lower your arm, but you raise it before contact. At contact, you're moving forward, and then you just fake the upward follow-through. You have to imagine your fingers and wrists traveling from the first floor to the second, then to the third. It's not a straight elevator. You maintain the angle and go, first floor, second floor, third floor. Once you create this 1, 2, 3 motion, you will naturally create an arc. Right now, you're just pushing the ball forward on the first floor. How can you possibly create an arc that way? Once you've mastered this first step, you can be more flexible later on. In a real loop, I just need a little lift. 1, 2, 3, drive. You don't need to lift so high. Just create enough of an arc to clear the net, then go forward. So your hand must create an arc. First step. 1, 2, 3, lift. Second step, drive forward and follow through. That's the complete motion. Why do so many players push the ball forward? It's because of the muscle memory from tens of thousands of forehand drives. Looping backspin requires building new muscle memory. But when you start learning, your old drive habit takes over. Your drive habit means you push the ball along with a fake follow-through, which prevents you from creating the necessary arc for a loop. You have to practice this. In your spare time, practice this drill. It's the most effective. Because if you push forward, the ball won't go up. It's the most direct feedback you can get. You have to use your fingers and wrists to lift the ball. This drill is extremely effective. Once you master this drill, that feeling of looping will come naturally. Watch, even if everything else is wrong, as long as my friction is correct, the ball will go in. See? It went in. Yes, my form is exaggerated, but I'm doing it to give you confidence. The point I want to make is this: don't give up on yourself just because your form isn't pretty. Everyone, get your friction right. Even if your form is wrong, it doesn't matter. Your consistency will be high. Bad habits like wiping the ball or tucking your elbow affect your speed and power, but they don't affect your consistency in getting the ball on the table. You must always prioritize friction. No matter how advanced the theory, this fundamental friction skill is what saves you when you're nervous, on the defensive, or under pressure. It's your most effective and reliable tool. It's your lifeline.